Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel, Charles Morris, and today, in this video, I am going to, be explaining the terrible Oxford shooting incident. And as far as you know, Ethan Crumbly is considered he's considered an American terrorist. Now, on December 13th, he was going for another hearing. I call it round 2 of court. And Ethan Crumbly is being charged as an adult at 15 years old. And what he's facing is 20 charges that include murder and terrorism. Now, he killed 4 victims in the Oxford high school shooting, and 7 were wounded. Now, the survivors, they are suing the Oxford School District because they failed to give the protection and security that they needed to prevent from dying. It's almost like the school just, didn't take this as serious as they should have. There should have been, Ethan Crumbly should have, been facing some very serious consequences in the school and that stuff. When he had the handgun, he should have been, had either be, put in detention or, there should have been some other kind of severe punishment that Ethan Crumbly should have faced. But no, they failed to, they actually failed to, give the safety and security that the students needed when this shooting happened. And that stuff. This is exactly why the people who survived the shooting is suing the school. Because the school was not doing its job on making sure that everybody was safe from when Ethan Crumbly had the murder weapon, which his father gave him for one of those Christmas years. I don't know if it was last year or if it was some other Christmas when he was younger or whatever, but the parents are also responsible for the crime that Ethan Crumbly had committed, and that was a mass shooting in the Oxford High School. 4 were wounded, and then 7 were wounded. 4 were dead. So, yeah. The parents, James and Jennifer Crumbly, are facing charges on involuntary manslaughter. So, yeah. Who in the world would, listen to video game voices in, like, Grand Theft Auto or, uh, Battlefield 4 or Nazi Army. Or some other rated M for mature game that would, you know, have like creepy characters in them, and they say a bunch of dark quotes or, you know, dark sayings or whatever and that stuff. And, you know, who plays a video game and, you know, every time that they hear a voice, that they begin to, you know, quote what this guy was saying. Ethan Crumbly's quote before the shooting was, "I am death. See you tomorrow, Oxford." That's what he was saying. So, yeah. Can you imagine how stupid you'd have to be? I mean, I know a lot of people who play rated M for mature video games and that stuff, but when they play that, they don't have, like, some kind of desire to just go shoot up people. And they don't, you know, the voices that are in video games don't really haunt the person in reality. If you have common sense, then you know that playing a video game, and when you hear all these dark things in video games and that stuff, that they don't go out there and just shoot people. They actually know way better than to go and just shoot up a bunch of people in a school. And these people that are, you know, like so confused that when they just play rated M for mature games when they're like very, very young and that stuff, they start, only messed up psychotic people would listen to what a video game says and that stuff. And, you know, that they start thinking like the video game when they keep listening to the voice. And then what happens is they just start saying what people in video games say and that stuff, and then they end up thinking like the video game does, which there is in no way video games connect to reality, only if you were making it that way. And as soon as they start thinking like the video game does, and they start going out there and shooting people, and they start making quotes from video games, like there's some kind of scary terrorist or whatever and that stuff, then they're just plain messed up. And what ends up happening is when they start acting in a violent manner, and they actually quote off of rated M for mature video games based on what a character says and that stuff, that obviously means that they're messed up. And Ethan Crumbly is one of those messed up people. The quote that he made, "I am death, see you tomorrow, Oxford," was based off of a violent video game. So yeah, that tells you a lot about Ethan Crumbly, that he's just a messed up person and he needs serious help. Well, the 20 charges that he's facing, including murder and terrorism, Well, that's because he deserves what he deserves. Now, my last video said he deserves to be in a juvenile group home or whatever. Could end up, because this whole thing is probably so severe, and maybe they fear that Ethan Crumbly would shoot up people in the juvenile either jail or group home. But I don't think he could shoot up people if he had the gun taken away from him. I don't think that, even though if he did go to a juvenile group home, or, had some kind of juvenile jail or whatever and that stuff, and if help was being offered to him so that he'd knock off this behavior, he wouldn't even listen anyway and that stuff, because he just, too delusional, and he wouldn't even listen to reasons. I think that's what this kid really doesn't want to do, is listen to reasons why he should actually, knock off what he's doing and that stuff. Anyway, the kid's facing a life in prison for the shooting, and it's pretty sad. So could you imagine having your meals given to you by metal trays, and having to eat all your meals in a mess hall, and being isolated for the rest of your life and that stuff because you just decided that it was your bright idea to just go shoot up people in the school and Oxford High School and that stuff, and you were thinking that that this whole thing wasn't going to be taken seriously? Guess again, because it is. If this were to happen in New York, I'm sure it would be actually taken very seriously. Well, apparently the school staff didn't really take it seriously and that stuff. They failed to provide the security that everybody in the school needed from this terrorist. Ethan Crumbly is a dangerous terrorist. And I'm sure that the parents would also be labeled as terrorists as well for the involuntary manslaughter. Maybe not labeled as terrorists, but maybe terrorists, I don't know. Maybe the parents aren't terrorists, but then again, they could be. And the parents have to suffer as much as the child does. The whole family contributed to the whole shooting incident. The father was responsible for helping the child get a gun by giving it to Ethan Crumbly as a Christmas gift. So the father should be responsible for buying that. And the mother, well, she didn't take the threat seriously. She thought it was a joke. The text between Ethan Crumbly and Jennifer Crumbly was, when he was looking up ammunition and that stuff, the teacher was, she was, shocked and her heart was pounding. And the text between Jennifer and Ethan Crumbly was, LOL, Ethan. You need to learn to not get caught. Or, let me repeat that. LOL, Ethan. I'm not mad at you. You need to learn to not get caught. That would probably have told you that the mother was thinking it was a pretty big joke. And I feel bad for the parents that Ethan Crumbly had. And as much as Ethan Crumbly can't deal with the crime or the time that he has, he is going to have to face the consequence. If you can't deal with the crime, if you can't deal with the time, don't do the crime. It is what it is. He committed murder in the Oxford High School shooting. He's labeled as a terrorist. He has 20 charges filed against him, including murder and terrorism. And that is going to be Ethan Crumbly's life in prison. And he's going to serve a lifetime in prison. That would mean eating mess hall food for the rest of his whole entire life and that stuff. And he doesn't like it. He shouldn't have done the crime in the first place. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what was said here, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, Charles Morse. And, Ethan Crumbly is a real big terrorist. And I'm sure the parents are going to be labeled as a terrorist as well. This is Charles Morse. Have a good day. I will see you all later.